Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. I'm very privileged to be in a situation where I've got my ear to the ground and I know certain things about certain movies, plans, how the industry works. And the reason I keep on getting the information is because I know when to keep my mouth shut. I've done a non-spoiler review for Black Adam without spilling my guts, because that's how you keep on getting information from the industry when they trust you not to go spilling. You're going to say, well, Mick, why? What's the point of knowing something if you don't let it out? Because a film should still be a surprise. I mean, I love spoilers. I don't mind being spoiled personally, and some people don't mind being spoiled, and some people do. And leaks happen, and things get out there because people who are told things in confidence leak it out just for the hell of it or just to make money. So that's not my mentality. But because I know the things I know about the Black Adam film and the Henry Cavill cameo, I think certain questions have to be answered. First of all, I know a lot of you from the questions I get are very, very confused about the future for the DCEU and what it all means, and how can Superman be talking to Black Adam in this very short cameo sequence, and what's it all mean? How is he there? Why has he gone there? So let's get into it. One of the biggest questions DC fans have, especially Snyder fans, why is he working? Why is he wearing the red and blue costume, the iconic one? Not only, again, I know certain things, and I'm not gonna speak about the things I know. We're going to talk about this from leaks on the internet. So apparently, Henry is wearing a bright blue and red costume, not the black costume from the Snyder Cut. So why is he wearing the red and blue suit? And if the Snyder Cut is canon, how is that possible? So there's many, many ways where he can be wearing the red and blue suit without us saying Justice League is canon or they're ignoring what Zack did. So one of the things is that this could be set after Justice League 3. So that means they can leave that stuff alone. And if they want to give Zack something, Zack can go back to Justice League 2 and Justice League 3. So that's something that they may do. In fact, it makes absolute narrative sense that Black Adam kind of skips over Justice League 2 and 3, and it's not prior to that. I kind of suspect that all of the future DCEU movies that are in the can and being made right now and being planned for will be set after Zack Snyder's Justice League 3. Now, whether or not this is ever explained or catalogued in the movies is another thing. So that's one way of them explaining the red and blue suit. Now, we know that Henry wants to play a more optimistic Superman. He loves the Man of Steel Superman, the BVS Superman, and the Snyder Cut Superman, maybe not so much. So that's what he likes. He wants to play a more traditional Superman, and we already know that. He's been pretty clear about that. So this could be set after Zack Snyder's Justice League 3. Now, there's another situation we haven't really discussed, that this may not be Zack Snyder's Superman. This may not be the traditional Superman from the DC Extended Universe. This could be a multiversal Superman. This would explain a lot. Now, allegedly, they're using the John Williams theme. I'm never going to confirm or deny that. But if they are, and this Superman is more of a traditional Superman, it will make sense, like narratively again, that he's not from the Snyderverse, he's not from the DCEU, that he's multiversal and he's from another Earth, right? And that makes perfect sense. Now, I kind of think with Flashpoint coming up, this could be a thing, but how can this be a thing prior to Flashpoint? That's another interesting thing. But yes, him being an Elseworld multiversal Superman makes perfect sense. It may not be that. It may not be that. But I do expect that at the end of Flashpoint, because apparently they're adding him or already added him, so he could be a new Superman, because what Flashpoint does, it changes things in Earth 1 when Barry comes back. So you could literally have a different Superman, a different Batman, you know, and a different Barry Allen if they replace Ezra Miller. Flashpoint can do that. So that's something that can happen there. But we're talking about Black Adam and how he's there, how he knows about Black Adam. Now again, we're going to talk about rumours because you've got to understand I don't want to get into trouble here. So we're going to stick to rumours and calling them internet rumours. So let me explain to you what internet rumours are saying about this cameo sequence. So basically we get a post-credit scene. Amanda Waller banishes Black Adam to Kardug, which is where he's from. Is that how you say it? Whatever. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. He's banished and he allegedly says to her, no one on this earth can stop me. And then out of the smoke comes Superman and he says, Black Adam, we need to talk. Now, what they need to talk about, I don't know. You don't know. It leaves it there. It's a tease. Now, I believe what they're setting up here is beyond Black Adam versus Superman. Now, Grace Randolph a few weeks ago spilled her guts. Now, we don't know how much she actually knows, but apparently they may be developing a Suicide Squad versus... Basically, no, let's start again. They could be developing Suicide Squad, Justice League versus Black Adam. This is a film where the Justice League and Suicide Squad unite to fight Black Adam. Black Adam is the threat. He was meant to be the threat originally in the first Suicide Squad movie, and they decided against that because Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, wanted his own movie. That would be pretty cool. So they could be bringing that back. That's a pretty good idea. Now, the Suicide Squad IP is pretty much run by James Gunn. As we already know, he's spoken about Peacemaker 2. He's spoken about a Viola Davis series as well, aka Amanda Waller. So it kind of makes sense that if we do get Justice League and the Suicide Squad versus Black Adam, that James Gunn writes and directs that. I am more than okay with that. Now, when The Rock said yesterday or the day before or whenever, you know, the whole point of Black Adam and Superman kind of appearing together in this movie is a tease to them fighting in a Black Adam versus Superman movie. So what he could mean is Justice League and the Suicide Squad versus Black Adam. That seems like a more real kind of thing rather than a film where Superman and Black Adam fight for a whole movie. It doesn't sound viable. It sounds great. It would be fucking amazing. And I'm sure it will make money. But there doesn't seem to be much of a narrative in doing that. So I think one of the things they're teasing here, the main thing they're teasing here, is Black Adam versus the Justice League and the Suicide Squad. And having the Justice League interact with James Gunn's The Suicide Squad will be an amazing, beautiful, exciting thing. And I would be absolutely down for that, especially if James Gunn is going to write and direct that for movie theatres. I don't want to see that on no HBO Max, and Zaslav isn't going down that direction. So that's one of the things I think this film is setting up with the way it ends. But I also feel that elements of Walter Hamada's plan are not going anywhere. So clearly, Cavill is back. What we don't know, what Henry Cavill Superman we're getting. The OG Superman or a multiversal Cavill Superman. So that's something we're not going to find out in this short cameo. But I think it's something we can all theorize about in future conversations on this channel. Because I think it's very, very interesting. So I do believe that they are keeping a lot of what Walter Hamada is going to do. And one of his plans was a Final Crisis arc. Again, very exciting. Now, the first person to ever tease this, now this is surprising, and I don't know if you remember this, is Zack Snyder. On Vero, he had a picture of carving a turkey, and at the back, he had a Final Crisis graphic novel. So he's the first person who hinted it. Now, this led me to believe, and some others to theorize, that Zack was going to direct a Final Crisis. Now, the beauty of doing a Final Crisis is, basically, you have all these different versions of these different characters. So you can maybe have Henry Cavill as Zack Superman. You can have Henry Cavill as maybe Joss Whedon's Superman. You can even have Henry Cavill as another version of Superman. You can have different versions of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman in this movie because it's a multiversal movie. It's a final crisis movie where they have to fight the minions of Darkseid. Now, the beauty of doing this is basically having all these different versions of these different characters. Sasha Calle's Supergirl, you know, Henry Cavill's Superman, Ben Affleck's Batman, you know, unifying together to fight Darkseid and the new gods. And so, again, this would be a way of doing an epic film like this and setting up this arc to getting there, having Zack Snyder do that film, but finally sew all the seeds together so there isn't a need for a Justice League 2 and 3, which will trigger some Snyder fans, if not all. So basically, they settle once and for all what's canon and what's not. I think the Flash movie was always going to do this. We've heard they were going to do this. And yes, we all know, especially me, because I saw the test screening of the Flash movie, that Batfleck is on a screen and he's begging Barry Allen, aka Ezra Miller, for help. He's stranded somewhere else in the multiverse, something else that Flashpoint has done. So I think this is the plan thus far, and it's twofold. One is to set Justice League, the Suicide Squad versus Black Adam in a movie, and also the final crisis arc that Walter Hamada smartly constructed, by the way, because I think it's very clever, to settle everything. And basically, we know what's canon, and there's no messing about anymore. I also believe a short while after this film is released, I do expect David Zaslav to make an announcement about the DCEU and what's happening and what's not happening. I believe what he will say once and for all is to clarify the whole situation within the DC Extended Universe. What's happening, what can never happen. I think this is very important for Zack Snyder fans so they understand what's going on here, and everyone to see what they're planning going forward. And they are still going with Final Crisis. I kind of believe that. And I still believe the reason Batfleck's in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is because there's another warning, but this time for Arthur Curry's Aquaman. Basically a similar one to what happens in Flashpoint. I kind of think that's what's going on here. So for a temporary basis until we get to Final Crisis, yes, Keaton is the Batman and Bruce Wayne of the new DCEU timeline. I think maybe they'll stick to that. Maybe. I could be wrong. So Jason Momoa teased that maybe Michael Keaton and Affleck are in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So if you have Ben Affleck's Batman, you know, sending out another warning from the multiverse, this time to Arthur Curry's Aquaman, you can still have the original cameo from Michael Keaton. Because let me tell you something, Michael Keaton is a very popular figure within DC fans. Because again, we have millions of DC fans around the world, and the only DC fans are not Snyder fans, right? I respect you. I love you. I'm a Snyder admirer myself. But we have to respect all fandoms. Otherwise, what are we doing here? Like you desperately want certain things from Zack, they're desperate to see certain things from the comics, other movie lore from history, from DC, right? And that's only fair. So I think Michael Keaton will be around for a certain time. And then there's the Batgirl situation. What's going on there? Why was that film really cancelled? I guess we'll never know. I think ultimately some of the stuff they implemented in that film is maybe something that Zaslav didn't want to do going forward. And I think maybe he looked at it and said, well, let's get our house in order first, because Batgirl literally is the brand new timeline going forward. And maybe there were certain points that he didn't like. Maybe Superman doesn't exist. Maybe Superman's mentioned not to exist, or something. Something's going on that Zaslav didn't like what they did in that movie. Nothing to do with Leslie, nothing to do with the great directors, and it's a shame. But I still believe Leslie Grace's Batgirl is canon. It's canon. It's canonical in the DC Extended Universe. I expect to see her at least in the Flash movie. We'll see her somewhere. I don't believe she's done, which is very exciting because she's done nothing wrong. And if people are saying, oh yeah, well, she's not a comic accurate Barbara Gordon, Jason Momoa isn't a comic accurate Aquaman anyway. And we all love him, right? He ain't a comic book accurate Aquaman. He ain't blonde with blue eyes, but we still love him. He's a great version of the character. And Leslie Grace can be a great version of that character handled properly. So this is what I think the plan is. So another question I have to go back to, because I mentioned the rumour about how Superman's there, that Amanda Waller has sent Superman to deal with Black Adam. So a lot of people have said to me, due to this rumour, Mick, you know, why would Superman do anything that Amanda Waller asked him to? Well, that's a simple thing. Amanda Waller, as we've seen from both Suicide Squad movies and Peacemaker, is very good at harnessing people who don't want to do what she wants into doing what she wants. Now, the great example is using Bloodsport's daughter, dangling that as a carrot and forcing him to go with Task Force X to do the mission in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. So she's very good at blackmailing people, enticing people into doing things that she wants them to do. So, for example, she could have kidnapped Lois Lane or something as simple as that. But ultimately, I believe she's explained to Superman that Black Adam is a huge threat. And in this film, we see what he's fucking capable of. And it could be as simple as that. And it could be one of these motivations. This is what I believe the future of the DC Extended Universe is. And of course, it goes beyond these 5 upcoming movies coming up. But I think this is the plan, a mixture of Walter Hamada's ideas, which, whether you like the man or hate him because he wasn't very nice to Ray Fisher, I'm happy to keep an open mind, by the way. His ideas were pretty interesting. Because for me, I don't have any bias. I'm not biased towards Christopher Reeve's Superman, even though I love him and he was my first Superman. Superman the movie was the first movie I ever saw. And I'm not biased towards Henry Cavill's Superman. I'm not biased to Zack Snyder. I love all of these elements. But the most important thing for me is to have an exciting DC Extended Universe that we can all enjoy. And without that, we can't move forward. Of course, the Snyder fans will always be sounding off on social media. We live in a free democracy, and that's right. They're allowed to give out their opinions, but so are we, right? You know where I stand on Zack Snyder. I like what he did. I think going forward, Zack's legacy is there for everyone to see. And it's a beautiful DC legacy, and I love it, and I respect it, and I approve of it. But we have to move forward. We can't just stay in Groundhog Day. We can't. So we have to move forward. And the plan is a Suicide Squad, Justice League versus a Black Adam movie. I believe that's what The Rock's talking about when he talks about a Superman versus Black Adam movie. So that will be a very exciting movie. It's pretty obvious from the other rumours, which I'm not going to confirm or deny, Amelia Harcourt, for example, from Peacemaker and James Gunn's The Suicide Squad being in the Black Adam movie, right? It's pretty obvious she is in that movie, right? Okay, because you've all seen fucking pictures of it on the internet now, right? So she's pretty much in this movie. So there's a big connection to James Gunn's Task Force X in this movie. Amanda Waller, Amelia Harcourt, is pretty obvious. So for me, it's obvious they're setting up a written and directed James Gunn movie, which is Justice League, Suicide Squad versus Black Adam. And this is why probably James Gunn featured the Justice League in the season finale of Peacemaker. And I think now you can all see where we're heading here. And we're heading to a very, very exciting place. As The Rock keeps on saying, we're building towards something. It may not be Zack Snyder's arc, but they're looking to clean up house, get their house in order and move forward. And that's exactly what anyone who loves DC should want. So if you're a Zack Snyder fan and only here for Zack, perfectly fine. That's a Groundhog Day situation though. I want DC to proceed forward. I'm very excited for everyone to see this film. I can't wait until you see this film. And please, as soon as you see this film, let me know what you think. Now, I've given you a non-spoiler review where I've been very careful what I said about the movie. As I say, I keep my mouth shut so I can keep on getting information, so I'm informed when I'm talking to you guys. That's what's ever so important, especially going forward. Because every time a DC movie is being built up, in its marketing and its release. There's a lot of fucking noise. There's a lot of bullshit. I like to cut away that noise and give you factual information and my genuine opinion. So what do I think about these potential plans they have? Suicide Squad, Justice League versus Black Adam, and still doing the Final Crisis thing. I think it's utterly fucking exciting. And all I want now to crown all of this is for Black Adam to be successful and to be loved by Access Media. But the most important thing is to get a president of DC Studios finally. Maybe that will be announced a little bit after the release of Black Adam. This has been Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. And I'll see you and talk to you again on the next video. The next video we probably do here on Movies TV Mad is when the embargo lifts and we finally find out what everyone is thinking about Black Adam. So until then, which I can't wait for, I'm really nervous about the embargo lifting and what people are going to say about this movie because I'm a DC fan and I want everyone to love DC. But what's more important to me is that we have genuine critics that are honest. And critics are supposed to be informative for us, the fans. If they don't like this movie, if they feel this film is genuinely bad, they need to tell us that. And if they think it's genuinely good, they need to tell us that. There should be no bias. Of course, everyone has bias, right? So if you think a movie is genuinely bad, Mr. or Mrs. Critic, I respect you telling me you think it's bad and giving me details why you think it's bad, because that informs me as a consumer and it informs other consumers who haven't seen the film and it makes them decide whether they're going to embrace this movie. So if a film's bad and people don't go and see it, that's good for the studio because they know what not to do. Again, of course, no one wants to lose money. Nobody wants a DC project to lose money and not to do well and to be hated. I don't want that. I've had enough of that. But this is how we move forward and improve the DC Extended Universe. So until we see each other again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.